Hello and welcome to Green Hill Garage. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at this little B275 International Harvester that I picked up on auction time for $225, which was an absolute steal. I'll post a picture of it here in this video of the listing to show you all that I won it for that price. The tire, it's pretty well shot here. The good news is I've got a pair of tires that are going to fit this. These are an 11.2 by 28, which for this tractor was supposed to be a 12.4 by 28, but I got a 13.6 by 28. So we're going to stuff those on these rims. This rim, it's a little corroded, but it's not too bad. So we're just going to throw a tire on it and call it good. This rim's really nice. This one's still got paint on it. This side's a different color, so I'm not sure if these are replacement rims or not. But in any case, it's going to get all new rubber. Fenders, they're a little chewed up, but they'll work fine. And when I picked up this tractor, had wasp nests in it galore. The wasps are hiding right down inside of here. Might be able to see the nest right down in there. There was a nest in there. They had a nest right up under this hood, which is actually sprayed WD-40 on them. For those of you looking to kill wasps with something, WD-40 seems to work pretty good. The regular wasp spray kind of riles them up, and then if they don't get coated immediately, then they're pretty darn mad. But WD-40 doesn't seem to wind them up, and then they just die kind of peacefully without getting after you. What else can I tell you guys? So these things were built in Britain. This one, oil's still pretty good. There's no milkiness. No diesel in it, so that we know that the seals on the injection pump are at least good on that side, or were good, I should say. This thing has no fuel in the tank, so we're not going to find out until we bleed the system. I'll go ahead and pop this cap off if I can. Let me pull this cap off for you guys. I'll get this hood up. Okay, so I got that little cap off of the air cleaner. This is an oil bath air cleaner, just your typical tractor air cleaner. Got an inlet here. This is a 4-cylinder diesel. Looks to me like the way this head is designed, it's only got 2 ports and then it splits off. Nothing super fancy. Same way on this side. Auctioneer thought this might be a 2-cylinder just because that was all he could see. As you can see back there, there's more wasp nests. They had a huge nest right up in here. So it was a pain in the butt getting this thing out. About 105 degrees when we picked it up. So just nice and miserable. But it was worth it for 225 bucks, I believe. So the next thing, I'm going to get to work. I'm going to put a battery on it, and then we're going to start finding out what all the deal is with wiring. I got a battery over there. This is going to be a multi-day project because I don't have enough time to link it all together. All in one run, just because we're doing hay and everything else. So we'll get some diesel. We'll start by bleeding out the lines, see what all is going on with this motor. These little B275s by nature are pretty cold-blooded. They have fairly low compression for a diesel. I'm not sure what the ratio on these is exactly, but it's pretty low, so they're going to need to have all the glow plugs working. So that'll be one of the first things we do when we go through the electrical, is figure out if these glow plugs are actually heating up. So we'll get right into it. I'll get this battery mounted and we'll see what all needs to be done electrically. Alright guys, so I got the battery in. This system's a 12 volt positive ground, kind of a weird setup. But I went ahead, started checking some wires, and we weren't getting nothing on the key. Well, this one's a lever, but you know what I mean. I went ahead, bumped that over. It was doing nothing. So what I did, I went ahead and just basically hot wired this thing. So on this setup, power comes down to the solenoid here. The solenoid comes straight down to the starter. But basically there's an engagement gear that's got to be bumped over with the lever. And the power to the solenoid is supplied by this little wire down here. I need to grab a wire nut for it. But basically what I did, it was routed, I'm not sure what, maybe a voltage regulator or something. but it was routed through that, and there was just no signal whatsoever. Also, this big wire here, it feels like it's a ground or something, but there's no insulation on it whatsoever, so I'm not sure what it is. But in any case, the power, we're getting 12 volts through to this side right down here, and the switch was working, sending power up, trying to send it through the voltage regulator, which I think is shot, and then it wasn't making it to the solenoid. So what I did is I traced back this wire coming out, it's a red and black, trace that back out to here. It pops out here and then turns into a red one going back to the voltage regulator before coming back to the solenoid. I went ahead, disconnected it off the red, went ahead, wired it straight to the solenoid. So now when I go ahead and kick this starter over, this starter engages the little button right here and cranks over the engine. So now we've got all our electric figured out. It's a diesel engine, so it doesn't need electricity to run. I also have power to the glow plugs, so that's going to be sweet. So next step, I'll grab some fuel and we'll see if we can get this injection pump primed. Alright guys, so it's the next morning. I went ahead, did some work on bleeding out the fuel system. I traced the fuel all the way back from this main line in here, all the way right to this little hand pump here. The hand pump was all frozen up and rusted, so I had to clean that out. Ran it up here to our fuel filter. Fuel filter was dry, so I just went ahead, pumped some fresh fuel into it, and it flows just fine. Checked it coming into the pump. I'm not sure how these pumps work, but I had assumed that there was supposed to be something coming into here, and I don't see anything coming out yet. What I did notice though is I've got fuel to these three, but not fuel to this one. So when I crank it over, I got smoke, but still no fuel coming out of that fourth injector there. So I'm going to bolt it back down. We're going to see if this thing will light off. Alright guys, we're going to see if this thing will start. So for this one, we're going to need some glow plugs. We'll let that count off for about, I want to say about 30 seconds, and we'll see if this thing will light. I've already tested, even though this glow plug indicator here, the little thing with the 6 holes in it, well I should say 7 holes, it's like a revolver cylinder, even though that thing's not lighting up. I do know that the glow plugs are getting power. I do not know if the glow plugs are any good, but we're going to find out here. About 10 more seconds. These things are pretty low compression, so they're going to need all the help they can get. I've also got a can of ether, so if all else fails, we have that. Alright, let's see if this thing will light off. Apparently we need some more glow plug time. Hopefully these glow plugs are actually good. I'm going to test the glow plugs, guys, and maybe we'll throw some ether at it. Alright guys, gave it a little snort of ether. We're going to see if this thing will light off. eye on him. Alright, so as you saw in our last video, we went ahead, got that to turn over and start, but then it kind of ran away from us. So I did a little more digging on this pump, and the issue that we had was this rod was not getting pulled all the way back to shut this off. So then we were able to get it to shut off. My camera died, sorry about that. But what we did figure out was that there's a diaphragm in here, and this diaphragm is causing this thing. Basically it's running and then it won't hold idle, it just picks up and runs away. The throttle system on this is kind of funky. It's all vacuum operated. So the vacuum, there's a butterfly valve in here. So this diesel engine, a normal diesel engine doesn't have any vacuum, but this one, it creates vacuum by having a butterfly valve right here. So when that butterfly valve closes, the engine's still trying to pull air, creates vacuum, and then this diaphragm here picks up that vacuum, reads it, and then decides how much fuel to give the rack inside of this injection pump. So that one, kind of a funky deal, but I'm gonna have to pull this apart. In the meantime, I'm gonna peel off this tire. I already got started on it. It's pretty darn easy because it's so rotten. So I'm gonna peel this off and then get started on mounting the next tire. Alright guys, we're back. It's actually been a few months. I got kind of caught up with college and work, so I apologize for the delay. Ended up getting this tire on. This was one of the tires I picked up at auction. I actually got the pile of them along with some other tires for like 75 bucks. I had to get some new tubes. The new tubes ran me, I think, 50 bucks a tube, which isn't horrible, but it is what it is. These are 4-ply Armstrongs. They're a little cracked, but they're definitely a lot better. There's a crack right there, but it didn't seem like it was going to be a problem. And this is a light enough tractor. I don't think it'll tear on it. These are I believe a 13. Let me see. Yeah, these are a 13.6 by 28. The ones on it were an 11.2 28, and it made the tractor look a lot different in my opinion. It looked like the tractor was smaller. This is another tire. This is actually a Goodyear radial, so that was also part of the deal. And this one's, I think, is probably the best tire on them, but also a 13.6 28. Size difference, I don't think there's a huge difference between these two. The tread doesn't match, but this tractor is going to be on like a bare bones budget, so that doesn't really matter. Still got those cheap fronts. So what I did, I put a battery in it. Right now what we're doing is we've put new battery cables on it, and I ran a 1-wire alternator. So on that factory, it had that factory generator, if you remember. What I did was I cut it down. Basically that old part used to extend clear out to the edge of this. This was all one tube. So I just went ahead and took an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel, cut it there, and then cut the weld off there. And then just use the same factory bolt and the same factory adjustment rod to be able to run this 1-wire alternator. It's just a cheap eBay unit. I think it only costs like 50 bucks for the alternator. So now we got charging going. The next step I'm trying to figure out still though is this glow plug setup. So what I did, and I'll have a link for it in the description, I got a fast glow set for a Mercedes 180 diesel. Basically these little Internationals, they share the same glow plug sizes with a Mercedes 180 and 190, I believe. So I ordered a glow plug set. I want to say it was like, man, I can't even remember. I'll have the link for it in the description though. But basically what that does is it takes I'll just have a picture right here. But that takes that 1-wire, or that 1-volt factory plug with the little coil, and converts it over to a 12-volt. Well, it's actually a 9-volt, but with 12 is what it'll take to get it to glow. So these are just daisy chained together. I've got the wire connected right now coming off for the main glow plug harness. What I still got to do, I've checked it, so I got power coming to our factory glow plug lever here. But then after that, I've got to bypass. I bypass the little resistor here on the dash, bypass that. I believe there's one more module in here. It's like a giant resistor that I've got to bypass in order to get 12 volts to those glow plugs. So that's the last step. And then the other thing I've been doing is messing around with this throttle. It still hasn't been running quite right, but right now I'm just gonna kind of keep running it and see if it maybe gets a little better. I took that diaphragm out. The diaphragm's in pretty rough shape, but I have not been able to find a diaphragm for this injection pump. If anyone knows where I could get one, then please comment, because that'd be pretty helpful. But what I did, the sealing surface around the edge of the diaphragm was kind of chewed up, so I put a little bit of Permatex Right Stuff right around the edge so we can get any of those air leaks out of the way, and it seemed like that helped a lot. I think air leaks are going to be what we're fighting, probably the biggest here. I also gave it an oil change, fresh 1540 Rotella. So yeah, I'll go ahead. It's going to take 2 hands to fire this up, but I'll fire it up for you guys. Alright, hopefully y'all can hear me. But basically, if you can still hear it, it's kind of hunting still. So that's been the issue that I've been fighting. It seems like it gets better the more it warms up, but right now it's cold as all get out. So it's just going to sit here doing this. This exhaust pipe also needs rerouted. It runs right into the back of this wheel, so I got to get that rerouted. But that gives you guys kind of an idea of how it's running right now. I still have to get the glow plugs figured out, like I said. Right now I just had to fire it off using a snort of ether. But we're going to go ahead, hitch it up here to the disc, and see what it can do. Alright guys, we got it all hitched up. It does have a hydraulic remote. It runs off of here. Yep, that raises. Alright guys, I'll pull it up. We'll get the disc serviced and see how this thing pulls. guys, we got it all disked up. As you can hear, the tractor is still not idling all that great. Gonna have to mess around some more with that diaphragm. It's also why I'm hoping someone will know where I can get one. Hunted around on eBay, haven't seen anything. It may need a new injection pump, I'm not sure. But with that, you can tell it's not happy. Pulled the disc pretty well considering its size. It's a little light. That disc is a little much for it. But we got the arena here all worked up, and it worked up pretty nice. So pretty happy with that. Second gear was what this thing would pull pretty comfortably. That Farmall M that I have will pull it probably in third gear. With a 38-inch tires, they just grab better. These 28s, and we don't have any calcium. We got cast iron weights, but no calcium, so it's just a little light, but it did really good. It's just smoking now from that injection pump. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. I apologize for not getting this out sooner. Life's been pretty busy lately, so but I'm gonna do better. I got the videos on the F250 coming out. Been chipping away at the 6x6. We got it running and driving, but we still have to get the rest of the front axles all torn up. So I'll thank you all for watching. Check out our other videos, and keep an eye out for any new ones that are going to be coming out soon. Thank you guys.